we will be covering reducing production costs and saving energy. There's a lot of activity going out there in many facilities around the world where the saving of energy is very, very important. And it's not so much just for meeting a sustainability objective, but it's also for saving money. So with that, from our perspective, what we will be covering today, because it's a very large subject, the subject will be covered around energy management in regards to communications. We're defining it as providing communication solutions that enable you to optimize the consumption of energy in a specific process, in your facility, or over your entire worldwide operations. Some of the things that customers care about out there. These is from a study done a little while ago, but it's still fairly accurate. Majority of the top financial people and customers are competitors out there, and as well as many factories and businesses are trying to grow revenue. They need to grow revenue and they want to grow their operating margins. Well, the only way to grow revenue is to sell more product, but there are ways to grow margins without necessarily selling more product. So in a down economy, a lot of companies are looking into ways to increase their margin by reducing their spend on their energy usage. As you can see over here, the reduction of total cost of operations, 40% of the people interviewed said that's very, very important to them, and another 21% say align their energy and operations with corporate sustainability objectives. So these are the two main things that are very important to corporations all over the world, and we're going to talk about how we can help with that. Some of the things to consider is in the factories and facilities around the world, 65% is the total industrial electricity motors consumed. So they are by far the biggest consumers of electricity in your facilities. Next, they find that 30% of the energy used in a building is unnecessary or inefficient. So there's a lot of ways to optimize and save energy in the existing facilities. Next is 50% of most chillers are oversized. So in industries where you need to have a chiller to cool your facility or produce your products, those are oversized. There may be things that can be done there to reduce your energy usage. Oversized fans are another concern over in the factories as well. And then lastly, the average efficiency of air compressors is 15%. So there's a lot of energy wasted in air compressor systems that are used in factory and facilities all over the world. So a lot of things can be done there. We're going to talk about 3 steps you can go through to try to look into your facility, whether you're an end user and you're consuming that energy and would like to save it, whether you're an integrator and looking for an opportunity to go out there and help your customers gain some efficiencies and save some money. There's a lot of things that can be done. In the past, the way energy was measured was you got a utility bill for your facility. They would take that in accounting, spread that out over the entire company, and you would pay your utility bill, and it was just considered overhead. Today, a lot of people are starting to look at that utility bill and breaking it up by either department or they're breaking it up by the square foot of an area within your facility. It's better than it was before, but it's still not as accurate. The people in the warehouse that just have the parts inventory could be being charged the same amount of utility charge per square foot as the actual manufacturing line, which would use a lot more electricity. And third, where people are trying to get to is the future, and some of the customers are already there, where they want to get the cost of their utility bills, right, all their energy consumption in as a part of a bill of material. You know what the material is, you know what your labor is, you know what your capital material, but energy hasn't always been included down to the point of a per unit. As you can see, we have some cereal in a per unit cost or in a cost per gallon of fuel being produced. So people want to be able to measure this so that they can get accurate understanding of where their products are that are making them the most margin. Some production lines use a lot more energy than others, and when you start measuring that and monitoring it, you can make some wise business decisions. So some of the questions that we hear out there that you might be asking is, when do we incur peak demand charges, and how can we avoid them, right? In all facilities around the world, the utilities that are supplying that power are sitting there, and when you go above a certain limit that they expect you to use, there are certain penalties that come along with that called demand charges that can radically increase the cost of your electricity usage. If you could monitor that and control it, you could have right there some large savings. Other questions: how do I increase throughput and reduce my energy usage? Where is the most energy intensive processes in my facility? I may not know that. You need to be able to measure it. Simple question: what things should be on and what things should be off, right? In my facility, there may be some things that don't need to be on, some systems that don't need to be running, but if everyone just turns everything on, there could be some energy saved there as well. And then, as we talked in the last one, how much energy is consumed to make this particular product? So there's lots of different questions out there. Hopefully through this webinar, you're going to learn about some ways that we can measure those energy usage devices, then bring in other companies and suppliers to help analyze that information, and then again, using our products, help control that to save your facility's energy. When I talk about energy, it's more than just electricity. In your facilities, in many production lines out there, you're using water, you're using air, gas, electricity, and steam. These are many different things that are being used in various different production facilities, some more than others. These are things that need to be monitored and controlled if you want to save energy within your facility. The 3 steps in this process are: first, you need to monitor that consumption. You need to monitor it over time. That means there's many devices within your facility that need to be connected in that are consuming electricity that you may not be monitoring currently to see how much energy those are being used. Not only to see how much energy they're using, but when that energy is being used, because the very time that is being used can be very, very important with that energy saving program. The next step is to go to analyze that. And there's a lot of companies out there. You'll see later about automation suppliers, integrators that can help in the analyzing scenario. And then on the control side, once I've analyzed it, I need to go reprogram my control systems so they can automatically start reducing energy. ProSoft can assist you on the front end where the monitoring, getting those pieces of information into your control system and into your monitoring capabilities. Then on the control side, we also have communication capabilities on the control where we have communication interfaces that can talk to your boilers and chillers, and you can actually have your PLCs communicate with those and have those be able to shut down. Let's say in the case of a compressor, your facility is using 10 different assembly lines. 2 assembly lines are down right now in a maintenance mode, but your compressor is still running at full speed. If your PLC could tell your compressor to slow down while it's in that state and then come back online as I'm bringing up those other 2 lines, there's one way that energy could be saved. And then on the analyze part, this is where we have to work with partners like automation suppliers and system integrators, because they bring the knowledge in there. You may have that yourself within your facilities. You may want to leverage some of these people, but we work in conjunction with them so that you can get a complete solution, monitor it, analyze it, and then control it for your energy saving system. So we talk about you can't manage what you don't measure. In a facility, in your operations, there's many things going on. You've got quality control measures, mixing, plant facilities, operations, processes, shipping, a variety of things going on in your facility. Things you could look at would be things like turbines, refrigeration systems, mixers, chillers, boilers. All these things consume energy, but when are they consuming the energy? What processes are they related to? Do they need to be running all the time? If you measure that and you start monitoring this information along with your production, you can start building a plan to help you save some energy. So what do you want to do? You want to know what you're using, who's using it, when and what that usage is over time. So these analyzing systems will log this data. Once you can get it connected in, you can start logging it and looking at this information to make some good decisions. Next, you want to understand why you're using it. Does it really need to be on? Am I sharing all that energy and using it at the right time? And then lastly, you want to understand that consumption is contributing to your cost. Once I can look at that, I can look at things like peak demand, and we've had some customers along with some automation suppliers where they were able to reschedule. They were running at 3 shifts, and they were able to reschedule what production they were doing once they monitored it, and found out there were certain processes that they did that were very energy intensive and other ones that were not, and they would schedule those energy intensive applications at night and move the low energy intensive during the day, and through that we're able to save huge amounts of money in their energy charges. So when we monitor consumption, things we're looking at is we want to gain accurate visibility into the assets of your energy consumption devices that are out there. We want to analyze those trends and compare them to historical patterns. We want to trigger some alerts. If there's something going wrong, you don't know that. You could be wasting a ton of energy. If you have it connected in with networks and have that in your information, you're now able to set alarms on that information and be able to get an operator to go over there and find out why you're wasting energy in an area before that goes to an excessive amount. In some applications, you may need to add some power monitors out there. Again, we have the communication interfaces to bring those power monitors into your existing control systems. And lastly, you're going to need to talk to these associated systems, those compressors, chillers, boilers, HVAC systems. If you have cogen in your facility, all of those different devices typically are going to talk different protocols than your native control system on your plant floor. And that's where we can help, where you can not only monitor it, but now you can start looking into the controlling side. On the analyzing, now that you've gathered this data in, you've put in your network infrastructure, whether that be getting it in there via a protocol. We found some of our customers even needed wireless solutions because the cables physically weren't connected from those devices over to where they wanted to monitor it, and they were able to use our wireless solution to do that. Once that data is gathered, now vendors like Rockwell Automation and if anyone's out there familiar with the CSIA, they are a system integrator organization. There's many companies out there. This is just 2 examples of people that you can go find to help you if you don't have the expertise to go analyze this data that you're now bringing in and now make some good business decisions to save you energy. Next, we get to the control side. Now that I've analyzed the data, brought it in, analyzed it, now we want to start saying, hey, during process A, we don't need to run our air handlers at full speed. I'm going to send a command over there to start backing that energy down. Now I can send information over Ethernet IP or other networks over to the lawn works, to lighting control systems. We find that a lot of people have lights in an area facility where no one's working there. Why not have those connected in and only have those lights on and use that energy when an operator or someone needs to be there? Other applications are chillers, air compressors, boilers. All these have different network interfaces, and with ProSoft solutions, we're able to help you integrate those into your control platforms so that now you can actually in real time control those, so that when you're starting up those extra 2 lines, you bring your compressors up or your boilers up as you need them and not just run them all the time. So some of those solutions that are out there from ProSoft, we have wireless solutions where we help customers where the cabling doesn't go to where they need it. We have Wi-Fi solutions throughout facilities that can send that data real time anywhere in your facility. We have cellular solutions where sometimes they want to connect multiple facilities, or if you have applications that are outdoors and spread in wide geographic areas, you need to connect that via cellular to get that on your network. And we can do secure communications over cellular networks to gather and pull in that data. And then we also have wireless I/O. There's many applications out there where there is no network interface to that device you're trying to talk to, but if you could measure some of the analog and discrete signals and you could get those to a remote location, you would be able to measure it, and control it. And then all the various protocols. We talked about BACnet IP, the Ethernet version, BACnet serial, which is your MSTP, LANWorks, Modbus serial, or the Ethernet version, and many more protocols. Whether they be for in-chassis solutions or they're for gateways, we have a variety of solutions to help you gather and collect that information, get access to it, and then from there, be able to control it once you've analyzed that data. Now, some of the examples, I worked with one particular automation supplier, Rockwell Automation, and got these examples from them of a few applications that they've done with network interfaces, and this included their engineering charges for going out there and improving systems. So you can look that looking at a compressed air system, they had to make a capital expenditure of one particular customer of $142,000, but the savings was $128,000. So in just 1.1 years, they were getting their ROI, and now they're making money back, and they're saving energy and saving money. Production energy saving mode. This is what I talked about before, where you're coordinating devices, shutting down what you don't need when you don't need it. Whole integration cost, hardware and services, $145,000, a 1.4-year return. HVAC optimization, $200,000, that was a 2-year return. And then demand management. This is where you're going to get into more power monitors being hooked up, so there's a higher charge in some of the hardware in the configuration, but the returns are greater as well. So again, in 2 years' time, you've paid back all your investment, and every year after that, you're taking that extra money and putting it to your bottom line and increasing your margin. So these are some of the solutions, some of the options that I've seen out there. To give you a couple of examples where we've had successes out there, we have one of the worldwide tire manufacturers, and this one in particular was located in Brazil. They installed our 802.11 Wi-Fi radios to create an infrastructure so they could capture all this information. They saw the value in being able to get the data, but the problem was they didn't want to run network cables throughout their facility to all these disparate machines to go gather that information up. So they used our Wi-Fi system. We're able to collect all that information back to one location, start monitoring that data, and then start making good business decisions off of that, and now control those devices and reduce significantly their energy costs. Another interesting application, and I ran across this one just like a week ago, saw this on the internet news, is Google out there has a bunch of their servers, right? They're one of the largest users of servers. And these servers come in these containers, and these things are made by OEMs, load these things up with servers, and then supply them with air conditioning units to supply them and spread them all over the world. They make thousands of these. And what was interesting with this particular article was that Google already had a software they had developed themselves, an artificial intelligence software that they were deploying somewhere else for something completely unrelated, and someone heard about this ability to save energy and said, hey, why don't we use this same software on our own servers and see what we can do? Well, these servers typically are hooked up via a BACnet system, hooked over to their HVAC system. They typically have PLCs controlling all of these, and by using their software and the connectivity solutions, they were actually able to save 40% of their cooling costs. So major savings by being able to overcool them before they're hitting their peak demand and letting them ride through their peak demand. They were able to make some significant energy savings. So these are just a couple of the different solutions that are out there. There's many more that are available to you. It's a wide-ranging application. The purpose of this webinar was just to introduce you to some of the things you want to start looking into in your facilities. Start talking with your management, getting to senior management, see about their sustainability objectives. There's nothing better to get a win-win when the senior management is happy because they get their check mark for being sustainable, and the production manager is happy because you've just lowered his production costs that are constant because energy continues to be used out there in the field. Now, it was just a short session there, So what I'd like to do is at this point in time, open it up for questions. Yes, we want to keep these webinars fairly short. We know your time is very precious, but we also want to give you valuable information that you can take back and start taking action on, and know that ProSoft is there to help, whether getting your infrastructure set up so you can get the data where you want it, or whether you need that connectivity to tie into those systems and start reading that data in so you can start showing your production people, your production management, and some of those that do the facilities, and show them the information coming in. That's your first step, is get yourself connected. Once you got it connected, then you can start down that process of saving yourself energy. Well, hopefully I answered all your questions.
Okay, so thank you for joining this webinar, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Have a good day. We will end the meeting now. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.